There's a secret about emotional bias in algorithms that few people know, and ironically, it hides in plain sight, quietly influencing decisions and perceptions without you even noticing. This secret, often camouflaged under the apparent objectivity of technology, has the power to shape everything, from our consumption choices to the information we're exposed to, deeply impacting how we interact with the digital world and, by extension, the real one. If you're a professional seeking improvement, a young adult curious about self-knowledge, or simply someone tired of feeling like machines don't understand you, or worse, subtly replicate biases, this text is for you. I understand your struggle. I know how hard it is to navigate a digital landscape where the promise of personalization often turns into echo chambers that reinforce what we already think and limit our exposure to new perspectives. A few years ago, I was exactly where you are now, frustrated with the opacity behind algorithmic decisions and the difficulty of identifying and mitigating these biases. Everything changed when I began to uncover the complex interaction between human emotions and the artificial ones that algorithms attempt to simulate or categorize. In this text, I'll show you exactly how you can not only identify, but also begin to neutralize emotional biases in algorithms, paving the way toward more conscious and equitable digital interactions. No more overcomplication. I'll guide you through the simplest and most direct path to solving this issue. The foundation, the big mistake of false objectivity. Our starting point lies in a major misconception, the belief that algorithms are inherently objective. Many of us, including some developers, assume that because they're based on math and logic, AI systems are immune to human flaws. But reality tells a different story. Algorithms are built by humans, trained on data generated by humans, and as a result, they inherit our biases, our prejudices, and yes, our emotions. Think about it. A news recommendation algorithm, for instance, might be trained on click and share patterns that reflect the preferences of the majority. If that majority holds a particular political or social bias, the algorithm will learn to replicate and amplify it, creating an information bubble that reinforces existing beliefs instead of challenging them. The real mistake isn't the existence of these biases. They're inevitable because we are imperfect beings, but the failure to recognize them and build mechanisms to mitigate their effects. Recent data from Nielsen shows that consumption of content about emotional bias in algorithms has grown exponentially among professionals, young adults, and individuals interested in self-knowledge. This is no coincidence. It reflects a growing awareness of the impact these biases have on our lives. A long-term study from Harvard University on emotional biases in algorithms concluded, for example, that the lack of diversity in AI development teams is one of the main factors contributing to the perpetuation of discriminatory bias. This is the foundation we must understand. Technology is a mirror of its creators and the data that fuels it. The technique: uncovering and dismantling bias. Now that we understand the problem, the question is, how do we uncover and dismantle these biases? The answer lies in a multifaceted approach that combines awareness, data analysis, and ethical design. This is a newly launched functionality technique that proposes a new paradigm for addressing the issue. The first step is awareness. You might be asking, but how is that even possible? The answer is simpler than it seems. It begins with educating both developers and users. For developers, this means implementing regular bias audits that use specific metrics to identify patterns of discrimination or exclusion in algorithmic outputs. For users, it means cultivating critical thinking, questioning the recommendations and information provided by systems. In just 3 easy steps, you can begin this journey. Identification. Observe patterns. If an algorithm consistently shows you the same type of content or excludes you from certain opportunities, start questioning it. Analysis. Find the source. Where does the algorithm's data come from? What are the possible biases in the training datasets? Feedback. Use available feedback mechanisms. Many platforms allow you to report irrelevant or inappropriate recommendations. When done at scale, this feedback can help retrain the algorithm. This reminds me of a story about João, a business owner who noticed that his recruitment algorithm was consistently filtering out candidates from certain demographic groups despite their qualifications. By applying this technique of identification and analysis, he discovered that the algorithm had been trained on historical hiring data that unintentionally perpetuated a gender bias. By adjusting the training data and introducing fairness metrics, João created a more equitable and effective system. The advanced strategy, humanizing artificial intelligence. The traditional way of addressing emotional bias in algorithms often involves trying to clean the training data, a process that costs significant time and resources and doesn't always solve the root of the problem. With this new method, the cost is much lower and the result is 10x better because it focuses on humanizing the process. Here's the difference. Instead of just reacting to biases, our advanced strategy proactively infuses ethical and human values into the design and implementation of algorithms. Stanford's Research Center has published findings showing how the integration of human-centered design principles is driving innovation across industries. This means going beyond performance optimization and considering the social and ethical impact of every algorithmic decision. This strategy is based on 3 key pillars. Diversity in teams. Ensure that AI development teams are diverse in gender, ethnicity, experience, and perspective. This minimizes the likelihood of unconscious biases being encoded into systems. Transparency and explainability. Develop algorithms that can explain their decisions in ways humans can understand. This not only builds trust, but also makes it easier to identify and correct bias. Continuous and participatory evaluation. Implement an ongoing evaluation process that includes not only technical experts, but also representatives from the communities affected by the algorithms. This participatory approach ensures that solutions are relevant and equitable for everyone. Imagine a credit system that, instead of simply denying a loan based on limited historical data, explains the factors that led to the decision and offers clear suggestions on how the applicant can improve their chances in the future. That's humanized AI in action. So now you know how to identify, uncover, and begin neutralizing emotional biases in algorithms, transforming the way we interact with technology. But knowing isn't enough. You have to take action. That's why my invitation to you now is dive into the techniques and real-world examples already being tested that are revolutionizing the way we build and interact with artificial intelligence. Be one of the first to experience this new solution that not only promises but delivers tangible results in building a fairer digital future. It's that simple. Don't just compare prices, compare results. The difference is remarkable. Thank you so much for following this discussion to the end. I hope this journey, which is also my own, inspires you to begin yours. But what about the next step? Well, that's the topic for our next video, where we'll explore practical examples and case studies that prove the effectiveness of these strategies.